Hey everyone, so I wanted to break down a few different things about body language that some people may or may not understand, but it's good to read other people's body language so you can get a grasp of where they stand in the conversation with you. So the very first thing that I always look for is if their actions align with their words. So for instance, if someone says, "I love you," and they're shaking their head no, then they don't actually love you, because it's so much easier to lie with our words, but our limbic system is what is in charge of our body's movement. So if someone says something that should sound like this or look like this, "I love you," their head should be saying, like, going yes. Or if they say, "I would love to go to the park with you," they're shaking their head no. They don't actually want to do it. Now, if they say the same thing, "I would love to go to the park with you," that means they actually do. Or they're like me and they are always focused on what their own body language is saying, so they're trying to control it. So that's one thing. Another thing is self-soothing is a form of, soothing our bodies when we feel uncomfortable or nervous or anxious, or we just don't feel safe sometimes. So it could look like this, it could look like this, it could look like this, could look like this, could look like this. Just touching the neck, the hair, the arms, they're all ways to self-soothe. Another body language tip, I guess, is our torso is so important. It holds all of our major functions. So if someone is like speaking to you, but their torso is rotated, they're trying to protect themselves from you, from what you're saying, from whatever. They're just not invested. Now, if their torso is facing you, that means that they're engaged. If someone is leaning closer, that also means that they're engaged. If they're leaning farther away, it can mean that they don't agree with what you are saying, or they just want to get away from you. Another thing is our feet are the most honest, one of the first most honest parts of our body. So let's say we're facing face to face like this. If their feet is facing like this, just facing you, completely grounded, facing you, that means that they're engaged. They're most likely actually want to be talking to you and want to be there. Now, let's say one foot is like this and one foot is like this. So they're listening to you. They kind of want to like be in this conversation, but they're trying to leave. They want to go somewhere else. Same thing is if you're right there and their feet are over here, they're trying to leave. They want to leave. Now, they may want to be in the conversation, but they're trying to leave. If their feet are not facing you, then their full attention is not on you. They most likely don't actually care about what you're saying. So there's a lot of stuff that's with the feet. So if their feet are like, it's harder to show you with my hands, but if they are like crossed, then sometimes that means that they're like uncomfortable. Same thing is if they're standing. This is actually more of they do feel comfortable, but we also typically mirror like who we're with. So if someone else has their arms crossed, which is another form of defensiveness of I disagree with what you're saying, then that means, actually I forget the first thought that I went into this, but basically I want to go back to the original with the feet. If your feet, if you're standing and you're leaning back, you have one foot across the other, but you're not very stable, that typically means that you actually feel safe because you're not in your full, like, you're not grounded, your feet, which means that you're not like about to run away in case you don't feel safe there. If that makes sense, like, typically when we don't feel safe, we are like getting ready to flight, to leave, to bounce. That's just one of them. But basically, when you are not like fully stable with your feet, that means that you feel safe, you feel comfortable. So that's what someone means, or their body language, that's how they feel when they're talking to you. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped. And I hope you learned something. See ya.